So Sabu Mliswa, you have been trending again after your video on the Politburo issue involving Vice President Chiwenga and President Mnangagwa. And the sentiment in the streets or on social media or in the country is that you are attacking the VP, or your sentiments against the VP are premised on trying to stop him from speaking out against corruption. So people are saying, why is someone who sells himself or frames himself as a corruption fighter seeming to fight against someone also who is fighting against corruption?
First of all, icho ndicho icho. I'm not vira chayo. My streets are pizza. But let's get to the bottom of this. I commend the efforts that the VP is on in terms of fighting corruption. But it cannot be selective. That's my point. It has got to be holistic. Okay. In being holistic, we need to go back. I mentioned the 15 billion, which was not accounted for diamonds, and that was said by the former president, late R.G. Mugabe. That being the case, we as Parliament did an inquiry. In doing that inquiry, the minister, who was the Minister of Mines, then, Comrade Obed Mpofu, refused to answer questions for accountability. Okay, refused. So where was the VP at that point in allowing, a minister who's supposed to account, refusing to answer the questions? Nobody said anything at the time. And this was a big allegation with the former president had been given a report that 15 billion worth of diamonds were not accounted for. That again at the time also included the army, who were beneficiary of a claim, the police, the CIO. All that was there. But what to me is important is to also come up with facts on issues. Yes, people will throw information, but how factual is this information? The due process, has it been followed at the end of the day? So I am not at all against what the Vice President has done. I commend him, but may it be holistic, because generations and generations there's been corruption. This generation there's been corruption. This generation there's been corruption. At what point are we going to start investigating corruption? Do we start now moving forward, or we go back to when corruption was also prevalent? So we must understand that. So at what point, while you started doing this, but there are certain people too who have benefited from corruption, nothing has happened to them. The problem that I think is there, but there's a solution, is to do a lifestyle audit. A lifestyle audit for those that you believe are corrupt. One, source of income, declaration of assets. And once the lifestyle audit is done, whatever is not accounted for is forfeited by the state. That's what is important. And if I don't explain, it's forfeited from me. And it goes to the state, we recover the money. The critical issue is that there's no point us pointing fingers without recovering all those things which are not accounted for. Because they go to the state forfeited, they are sold, the money comes back to the state at the end of the day.
Up to now, we haven't seen much of that happening. What do you think is the main problem or is the issue? Because we haven't seen many people or anyone having much or his proceeds or wealth confiscated.
It's not a secret that corruption is rampant. It's cancerous. It's cancerous, you see. And if we realize, the doctor realizes you have cancer of the leg and it keeps spreading, he tells you, cut the leg. So what are we doing to cut the leg?
From what has been heard in the media, the assumption which the general appears to be operating from is that these people who are corrupt are being protected by another faction or another clique in the government. What are your comments on that? I
am not privy to that. We have been fighting corruption for a long time. We have exposed corruption, including government institutions, but nothing has been done. He is also part of government. Why allow these institutions to continue being corrupt, yet there's a report from the Auditors General's Office? The Auditors General's Office must be commended. They've done a job. but then there is no implementation. There's no follow-up on all these issues. He must be able to ensure that institutions responsible for doing that are able to do that as the vice president. He has those powers, unless they have not been able to do that and so forth. So I think it's very important. The other issue is Manize itself. And I would like the vice president to take it up. This is what 7.1 trillion, 7.1 trillion projection in terms of income of Manize. What is in it for us? Why would the government want to give that to the Chinese? He's part of the government. Why has he been quiet on it? Why has he been quiet on the abuse of Zimbabweans by the Chinese? Why have the Chinese been allowed Manize to bring in 2,000 engineers? Okay. Don't we have 2,000 engineers in Zimbabwe? So what is the point of the relationship? Because they must also create employment for our people. 2,000, can then investigation be done in Manize? 7.1 trillion revenue expected. We don't have a penny. 2,000 engineers came through. How did they come through? Yet we have engineers here. The law is very clear. That's also corruption. If we have a skill here, which, we don't have to bring in expatriates. It's only transfer of skills when you bring in expatriates. They've been shooting people. Why have they been quiet about that? There are also allegations that they are also protecting these people. But the unfortunate thing, I am fighting for the people on the ground. I'm fighting for that soldier who needs disposable equipment, that policeman, constable, that Air Force officer on the ground, the prison on the ground, the civil servants themselves, the people who work for us. They're the ones who are suffering at the end of the day. So to me, it is totally unfair. So what is going to happen is to deal with corruption. Zimra are empowered in terms of the act to do a lifestyle audit. And in doing a lifestyle audit, we also have to target the powers be. When I talk about the powers be, I talk about the vice president himself too. It's not a secret, so that he knows that I care for him. A lot was said when there was information which was in the media on the properties he had. People said, but he was an army commander. He was CDF. How much was he being paid to be able to afford all that? Or what businesses did he run which generated profit to be able to do that? The onus is also on him to stand tall and say, I'm able to declare my assets, and in declaring my assets, this is how it was like. It's incumbent on every leader to do that. Because the leadership, again, including himself, is also accused of being corrupt. The leadership, including himself, is also accused of being corrupt. So how does he exonerate himself from that? As a champion for corruption, we are looking for champions to fight corruption. We see him as a champion to fight corruption, but you cannot be a champion to fight corruption if you yourself, are not clean. I don't intend to be personal, but it's in the public domain. And unfortunately, people are not able to say that to him. But in the streets, they speak to say, property, yes, you want to say you are army commander. Army commander, ano badara mari. CDF ano badara mari. Kana my business are now on the app. There are people with multiple farms. What are we doing about that? So to me, I think it's a noble thing, but may it be done holistically. But I implore all leaders, Politburo, Central Committee, members of Parliament, ministers to begin with, because you must set the example, to declare their assets source of income. And may they be a lifestyle audit. That produces the results, because if you don't account for what you have, then it is forfeited. The same must go to the people he alleges are corrupt. Chivayo, let him do a lifestyle audit. Kudata agree a lifestyle audit. Scott lifestyle audit. Ngwaya lifestyle audit. They must prove their source of income. They must prove their source of income. That's what is important. And we then become a good nation. A good precedence would have been set to everybody wanting to be in power or in leadership, to know that you're not there to take what the people are supposed to get. The Auditor General's reports, which are factual, must be followed through. And those who have not performed must be arrested, because that's a professional report. Why don't we also bring all the reports forward and deal with these issues? That's what I believe can take the country forward.
So Can we say, or can we deduce from what you are saying, that you believe that the country already has adequate measures, adequate regulations, adequate institutions to combat crime or corruption?
The law is clear. I've told you about a lifestyle audit. If you doubt me, you come and do a lifestyle audit on me. Temba, how did you get this car? How did you get this house? And so forth. I should be able to explain that source of income. That's what is important. And if at all it was above board, then it becomes very difficult to then arrest them. You can't also control how people spend their money. If they are spending money too much and we are seeing it, a lifestyle audit must be done. A lifestyle audit must be done. Once it's done and an investigation is there for their source of income and they are also declaring their assets, it's important. But leaders, for the vice president to help us, can there be a declaration of assets, source of income, and a lifestyle audit with the leaders that I've mentioned? And then people will be satisfied that this is the whole that we want. And as a person who advocates for corruption at Africa level, the regional level, even locally, I would want to see a lifestyle audit being done. Can the VP raise that in all the forums, from cabinet, Politburo, Central Committee, and say, can